Question 1. Is Carter a licensed architect in Birmingham, Alabama? Design a commercial shopping plaza. After construction, structural issues emerged due to design miscalculations, leading to financial losses for the client. The client sues Is Carter for negligence. Is Carter's firm carries commercial general liability (CGL) policy and professional liability (EO) policy. Which of the following policies would most likely respond to the claim, and why? A. CGL policy because it covers bodily injury and property damage. B. Professional liability policy because the issue arose from professional services rendered. C. Both policies because they provide overlapping coverage. D. Neither because claims must be filed within the construction phase. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. CGL policies exclude coverage for professional services such as design or engineering per as a CG 2279 endorsement. The negligence claim against Is Carter arises from her professional acts, making it a matter for professional liability errors and omissions coverage. This type of insurance specifically addresses financial damages from failure to render professional services proper. It covers bodily injury or property damage from premises or operations, but not design flaws. According to Alabama regulations and NAIC model laws, professionals must hold EO coverage for service-based liabilities. Question 2. While examining loss valuation, which of the following best explains how an insurance adjuster determines settlement under a replacement cost policy for commercial property in Alabama? A. Based on the market value of the property at the time of loss. B. Using the original purchase price minus depreciation. C. By calculating the cost to repair or replace with like kind and quality without depreciation. D. By comparing actual cash value to current assessed value and choosing the lesser. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Replacement cost coverage provides reimbursement without deducting depreciation as per ASO CP 010 form and Aldoy regulations. This valuation method replaces or repairs damaged property using materials of like kind and quality at current prices, not factoring in age or wear. It's designed to fully restore business property without a loss in value due to depreciation, ensuring the insured resume operations. Market value and original cost aren't relevant under replacement cost policies. Question 3. Given the circumstances, Stephen Johnson owns a mid-sized distribution warehouse in Huntsville. He purchased a business owner's policy BOP. Fire caused by faulty wiring damaged both the building and his business inventory, leading to 3-month shutdown. Which of the following coverages within his BOP would most directly help recover lost income during the downtime? A. Extra expense coverage. B. Business income coverage. C. Building coverage. D. Inland marine coverage. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Business income coverage, also called business interruption, is designed to compensate for lost net income and continuing normal operating expenses during the restoration period. It's automatically included in most standard BOPs and aligns with ISO Form BP03. Extra expense coverage only reimburses necessary additional costs to minimize suspension of operations, not income loss. Inland marine doesn't apply to fixed location business income loss. Building coverage reimburses physical damage, not operational disruption. Question 4. The core principles of umbrella liability insurance involve providing which of the following? A. Primary liability coverage that replaces standard policy limits. B. First dollar coverage with no deductible or retention. C. Additional limits of coverage beyond underlying policies, including coverage for some excluded risks. D. Duplicate liability coverage matching all primary policies. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Umbrella policies extend liability coverage above the limits of underlying policies like CGL or TOPLI and may even cover certain exposures excluded from base policies provided a self-insured retention cert is paid. They do not replace the need for primary insurance. Unlike excess policies, which are narrower, umbrella insurance can drop down in some cases. Refer to NAIC Uniform Coding Matrix and ISO Q01 forms. Question 5. According to recent studies, which of the following most accurately reflects how Alabama defines an employee under workers' compensation law? A. Anyone who works under 1099 contract regardless of hours worked. B. Only full-time workers with 40+ hours per week. C. Individuals in service to another under contract of hire, excluding certain independent contractors. D. Anyone receiving W-2 tax form. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Under Alabama Workers' Compensation Law, Code of Alabama SS 2551, an employee is broadly defined as any person in the service of another under any contract of hire, express or implied. However, independent contractors are not covered unless specifically included. Employers must determine the nature of the working relationship, not just tax forms, to assess workers' compensation liability. Misclassification may result in penalties and uncovered claims. Question 6. Demonstrated by is Olivia Hernandez, who operates a mobile landscaping business in Montgomery, Alabama. Her company trucks haul equipment and transport chemicals. She maintains a business auto coverage form back after a driver causes an accident injuring a third party and damaging another vehicle. What back coverage section will respond? A. Section enrollment liability coverage. B. Section Roman for physical damage coverage. C. Section Roman business income coverage. D. Section I property coverage. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Back section enrollment liability coverage covers bodily injury and property damage the insured is legally responsible for due to vehicle use. Section Roman covers damage to the insured's own vehicles. Business income is not covered under BAC, and property coverage pertains to non-auto commercial property. Alabama requires minimum financial responsibility under Code SS 3276, and the BAC satisfies both tort and no-fault aspects through this section. Question 7. With respect to inland marine insurance, which of the following exposures would most appropriately require a contractor's equipment floater, A. Retail stores inventory in fixed location, B. Office electronics permanently installed in headquarters, C. Mobile excavation machinery transported between job sites, D. Station A. HVAC system inside warehouse. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Inland marine policies are designed for property frequently in transit or away from a fixed location. A contractor's equipment floater is key inland marine policy that insures mobile tools and machinery, often excluded from standard property policies. Items like Station A HVAC systems are best covered under building coverage. ISO Centimeter 01 outlines the inland marine form structure, and Aldoi recognizes the contractor's equipment floater as vital for mobile risk management. Question 8. In the absence of proper internal controls, a small business in Mobile, Alabama experiences repeated losses from check forgery by an office assistant. The owner seeks coverage under a commercial crime policy. Which specific insuring agreement should they rely on? A. Employee dishonesty coverage. B. Money orders and counterfeit money coverage. C. Forgery or alteration coverage. D. Outside premises coverage. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Forgery or alteration coverage under the ISO Commercial Crime Form CR 021 covers losses from forged checks, drafts, or similar instruments. Employee dishonesty covers embezzlement or theft, but not forgery of third-party financial documents unless tied to a broader fraudulent scheme. Outside premises deals with theft or robbery away from the premises. Alabama insurers must follow National Association of Insurance Commissioners (NAIC) crime coverage guidelines. Question 9. While it is true that a business owner's policy (BOP) is often comprehensive, which of the following would not typically be included and must be endorsed or purchased separately? A. Business income insurance. B. Professional liability insurance. C. General liability insurance. D. Building coverage for owned property. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Professional liability (EO) is generally excluded from BOPs, especially for professions like consultants, architects, and accountants. This is due to the complexity of underwriting professional risks. BOPs do include business income, general liability, and building coverage by default. Alabama Insurance Code allows endorsements for some professions, but often separate standalone policies are mandated due to EO claim specificity. Question 10. Examining the consequences of regulatory breaches, Mr. Daniel Brooks, a licensed commercial insurance producer in Alabama, offered a rebate on premiums to a business client as an incentive to switch carriers. What potential consequence could Mr. Brooks face under Alabama law? A. Mandatory retraining through a C course. B. Civil penalty and possible license suspension. C. Required arbitration with the client. D. No penalty, since the client agreed to the arrangement. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. Under Alabama Code SS2712 4, rebating, offering any inducement not specified in the policy, is prohibited. Violations may result in civil fines, license suspension, or revocation by the Alabama Department of Insurance. The law protects ethical market conduct and ensures fair competition. Consent of the client is irrelevant as rebating distorts insurance pricing integrity. The Ordway actively monitors these practices through audits and consumer complaints. Question 11. In a modern context of cyber liability, is Natalie Brooks owns a digital marketing firm in Birmingham, Alabama. Her company stores client data on cloud-based servers. A breach exposes confidential client information, leading to lawsuits for negligence and privacy violations. Which type of policy is most appropriate to cover the legal fees, notification costs, and reputational harm? A. Commercial property policy. B. A commercial general liability (CGL) policy. C. Cyber liability insurance policy. D. Professional liability (EO) policy. Answer. Correct answer, C. Explanation. Cyber liability insurance is specifically designed to cover data breach response costs, legal defense, fines, and reputational harm from privacy violations. CGL typically excludes electronic data and cyber-related risks via exclusions CG 21.6. EO may cover professional service failures, but not cyber threats unless endorsed. Alabama recognizes cyber insurance as an emerging need, especially with growing data security requirements under federal laws like HIPAA and state-level consumer protection regulations. Question 12. By evaluating the characteristics of insurance contracts, which of the following best illustrates the principle of adhesion? A. A policy where both the insurer and insured negotiate terms equally. B. The insurer offers a policy and the insured must accept or reject it as written. C. A mutual agreement signed after extensive bargaining on both sides. D. The policyholder dictates coverage limits and exclusions. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. Contracts of adhesion are characterized by one party, the insurer, drafting the contract, while the other, insured, can only accept or reject it without negotiation. Courts interpret ambiguities in favor of the insured, reflecting this imbalance. Negotiated contracts don't meet the adhesion standard. This principle is legally recognized in Alabama contract law and aligns with general insurance doctrine established case precedent nationwide map in Company v. Thomas. Question 13. To better understand property valuation, Mr. Kevin Patel insures his small manufacturing plant in Decatur, Alabama, under an agreed value endorsement with his commercial property policy. What is the primary purpose of the agreed value provision? A. To allow replacement cost calculation with depreciation. B. To eliminate coinsurance penalties during a covered loss. C. To ensure the insurer reimburses market value only. D. To waive coverage for partial losses. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. Agreed value endorsements as OCP 424 are designed to suspend coinsurance provisions. This allows insurer and insured to predetermine an agreed amount of coverage. When a loss occurs, the claim is settled based on this agreed value, avoiding coinsurance penalties that normally apply if the property is underinsured. This endorsement must be renewed annually. Alabama commercial policies often include this for high-value risks where valuation disputes may arise. Question 14. The prevailing attitude toward employee dishonesty coverage within a commercial crime policy is best reflected in which of the following scenarios? A. An office manager's theft of client data results in reputational damage. B. Bookkeeper embezzles funds from the business's operating account. C. An employee accidentally deletes critical files. D. Customer steals merchandise from the store. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. Employee dishonesty coverage applies to theft of money, securities, or property by employees, as seen with embezzlement. Accidental acts, reputational harm from data loss, or theft by third parties are excluded under this coverage. Coverage is defined by ISO Commercial Crime Form CR 026, and Alabama commercial insurers follow NAICS guidelines. This protection is critical for safeguarding internal operations where employees have financial access. Question 15. Based on the information, a trucking company in Dothan, Alabama, uses a motor carrier coverage form instead of a standard business auto coverage form (BACF). Which reason best explains this decision? A. The BACF doesn't allow for non-owned trailers. B. The motor carrier form includes auto physical damage. C. The motor carrier form allows insuring for hire and private transport. D. The BACF only covers intrastate cargo shipments. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. The motor carrier coverage form ISO 020 is broader than BACF and covers for hire and private transport, which is common in trucking operations. It accommodates scenarios where a business transports goods for others and for its own use. BACF typically suits businesses not in the business of transportation. Alabama trucking operations regulated by the Public Service Commission (PSC) often require the motor carrier form to ensure broader compliance and risk mitigation. Question 16. To illustrate this point is Anna Razones, a specialty food supply store. A sudden power outage causes refrigerated goods to spoil. Her commercial property policy contains a spoilage coverage endorsement. Under what condition would this endorsement apply? A. Loss caused by equipment breakdown without coverage. B. Loss caused by direct physical damage only. C. Loss caused by temperature change from utility failure beyond her control. D. Loss caused by poor inventory management. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Spoilage coverage endorsements ISO CP 440 protect perishable goods from damage due to power outages, equipment breakdown, or contamination. If the cause is beyond the insured's control, utility service interruption must be listed as covered peril. Poor inventory or lack of equipment coverage would not trigger payment. Alabama recognizes spoilage as key concern for food retailers, and agents often pair this with utility interruption coverage. Question 17. The development of commercial general liability coverage includes protections for personal and advertising injury. Which of the following is most likely to fall under this coverage? A. A client trips and breaks a leg in your store. B. A competitor sues your business for libel in a newspaper ad. C. A vendor damages a customer's car in your parking lot. D. Suffer inventory loss from water damage. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Personal and advertising injury coverage within CGL or CG 1 includes offenses such as libel, slander, copyright infringement, and wrongful eviction. Bodily injury choice A is covered under premises liability, not advertising injury. Property damage to others or inventory loss falls under separate provisions or policies. Alabama law, following ISO forms, requires the offense to occur during the policy period and in the course of business advertising. Question 18. Under the assumption that Mr. Gerald Knox is terminated from his appointment as a commercial insurance producer by ABC Insurance Company in Alabama, what obligation does the insurer have under state law? A. Notify the Department of Insurance within 10 days. B. Notify the producer and Aldoy within 30 days. C. Provide notice only if misconduct is suspected. D. Notification is required if it's voluntary termination. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. According to Alabama Code SS 27730, when an insurer terminates producer's appointment, they must notify the Aldoy and the producer within 30 days. If misconduct is suspected, the insurer must also provide details. Failure to report may result in penalties. This ensures proper licensing records and protects consumers by tracking ethical violations. Even voluntary terminations must be reported for compliance. Question 19. Focusing specifically on the principles of excess liability policies, which of the following best explains how an excess policy differs from an umbrella policy? A. It provides broader coverage than umbrella and includes defense costs. B. It supplements only specific policies and follows their terms exactly. C. It acts as a replacement for underlying policies. D. It offers drop-down coverage for uncovered claims. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. An excess policy is strictly a follow-form policy. It applies additional limits only to specific underlying policies and does not broaden coverage. In contrast, an umbrella policy may provide broader coverage and even defend or pay claims not covered under primary policies. Alabama insurers often issue excess policies for clients needing additional layers of coverage but with known controlled risk exposure. Question 20. The question remains whether an insurance company can cancel a commercial property policy midterm in Alabama. Which of the following would be a valid reason under state law? A. The insured fails to make repairs requested in a risk survey. B. The insured changes location without notice. C. Material misrepresentation in the policy application. D. The insured files a first-time claim. Answer. Correct answer, C. Explanation. Under Alabama Code SS 271430, midterm cancellation is allowed for material misrepresentation, non-payment of premium, or substantial increase in hazard, filing claim, or changing location, unless it significantly increases risk. It doesn't justify cancellation. Repairs required by risk survey may prompt underwriting changes, but not immediate termination. Misrepresent undermines the contract's validity and triggers the insurer's right to rescind or cancel. Question 21. Through the lens of regulatory oversight, what is one primary role of the Alabama Department of Insurance (ALDOI) in the commercial insurance market? A. Setting premium rates for all lines of insurance. B. Arbitrating claims between insurers and policyholders. C. Licensing and monitoring insurance producers and companies. D. Determining reinsurance contracts between private insurers. Answer. Correct answer, C. Explanation. The ALDOI is responsible for licensing producers, approving policy forms, monitoring financial solvency, and enforcing market conduct regulations. While it reviews rate filings, it does not set all rates directly. Claims arbitration is not its typical function, and reinsurance contracts are negotiated privately. Refer to Alabama Code SS 2727, which outlines the regulatory authority. Question 22. While examining employment practices risks, a retail store in Tuscaloosa is sued by a former employee for wrongful termination and discrimination. Which commercial policy provides the most appropriate protection for such allegations? A. Commercial General Liability (CGL). B. Employment Practices Liability Insurance (CIPLI). C. Workers' Compensation Insurance. D. Professional Liability Insurance. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. IPLI protects businesses from claims of harassment, discrimination, wrongful termination, and related employment violations. CGL does not cover these risks, nor does workers' comp, which focuses on workplace injuries. Professional liability is for service errors, not personnel issues. Alabama law and many carriers treat IPLI as standalone or endorsed coverage, often excluded in other forms. Question 23. In response to catastrophic flooding, Mr. Leonard Scott's commercial auto dealership in Mobile sustained major vehicle damage. His garagekeeper's coverage applies. Which coverage type under this policy pays for customers' vehicles stored on the lot? A. Direct excess coverage. B. Legal liability coverage. C. Direct primary coverage. D. Contingent loss coverage. Answer. Correct answer, C. Explanation. Direct primary coverage under garagekeeper's insurance pays for damage to customers' vehicles regardless of fault. Legal liability coverage only pays when the insured is negligent. Direct excess coverage only pays after the customer's insurance. Alabama businesses with customer vehicles in their care often use direct primary, particularly in flood-prone areas. Refer to ISO Form 9937. Question 24. The correlation between property risk assessment and rating often involves analyzing COPE factors. Which of the following best explains owing COPE occupancy? How the building is used. B. Operations. Business management structure. C. Ownership. Property title and lien status. D. Ordinance. Compliance with local regulations. Answer. Correct answer, A. Explanation. COPE stands for Construction, Occupancy, Protection, and Exposure. WO occupancy refers to how the building is used, e.g., office, restaurant, factory, which affects risk level. High occupancy or hazardous use buildings often carry higher premiums. It's core part of underwriting per ISO and all underwriting practices. Ownership or ordinance status are not cope factors. Question 25. In light of recent developments, is Brianna Lane operates a fitness studio and is reviewing her business owner's policy BOP. She's concerned about potential injuries due to faulty equipment. Which of the following BOP coverages would respond to third-party injury claims? A. Equipment breakdown insurance. B. Workers' compensation. C. General liability coverage. D. Professional liability. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. General liability under the BOP covers third-party bodily injury on the premises, including from faulty equipment. Equipment breakdown addresses repair costs, not liability. Workers' comp covers employee injuries, and professional liability pertains to negligent services. Alabama BOPs typically include general liability as a core component aligned with ASA BP 03. Question 26. A critical examination of inland marine insurance reveals that which of the following is most accurately covered by an installation floater? A. Tools and machinery used by contractors at multiple sites. B. A building being constructed under a contractor's supervision. C. Materials and equipment in transit to construction site. D. Inventory stored at permanent retail location. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. An installation floater covers materials and equipment in transit awaiting installation or during installation at a job site. It differs from builder's risk, which covers the structure itself. Tools are covered by contractors' equipment floaters. Inland marine is often used in Alabama for construction operations under ISO centimeter 023. Question 27. From a practical standpoint, Mr. Ethan Monroe operates a tech firm in Huntsville and is exploring excess liability options. His concern is that an umbrella policy may have gaps, which situation demonstrates a limitation of umbrella coverage. A. It requires the same insurer as the underlying policy. B. It cannot extend to auto liability claims. C. It may not apply if the underlying policy doesn't include the exposure. D. It only applies to property damage. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Umbrella policies require underlying policies to cover the exposure. Otherwise, coverage may not apply unless there's a drop-down provision and retention is paid. They do extend to auto and other liabilities, but not automatically to excluded risks. Alabama insurers typically verify proper underlying limits to ensure umbrella policies are functional. Question 20. Taking into account Alabama's producer licensing rules, which of the following actions could cause immediate license suspension or revocation? A. Failing to complete continuing education in time. B. Offering coverage not filed with the department. C. Intentionally misrepresenting material fact on an application. D. Holding dual appointments with competing insurers. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Intentional misrepresentation is a violation of Alabama Code SS 27719 and may result in license suspension or revocation. C. Violations typically allow grace period with fines. Dual appointments are permitted under proper registration. Offering unfiled products may lead to fines but not immediate suspension unless part of broader violation. Question 29. Examining the consequences of cancellation. What is the minimum notice period an Alabama insurer must give before cancelling a commercial property policy for non-payment of premium? A. 10 days. B. 20 days. C. 30 days. D. No notice is required. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Per Alabama Code SS 27143, insurers must provide 10 days notice before cancelling commercial property policy for non-payment of premium. Other reasons, such as fraud or material change in risk, require 20 days notice. These rules protect insureds from abrupt cancellations and ensure fairness in enforcement actions. Question 30. The effectiveness of commercial general liability coverage can be reduced by common exclusions. Which of the following would typically be excluded under a standard CGL policy? A. Slip and fall injury to a customer. B. Product defect resulting in third-party bodily injury. C. Damage to the insured's own property. D. Liability from advertising injury. Answer. Correct answer. See explanation. Standard CGL policies exclude damage to the insured's own property. C is a CGL1, damage to property you own. This is handled under commercial property policies. CGL is designed to protect against third-party claims, not internal property loss. Alabama law aligns with ISO exclusions in this respect to prevent duplication of coverage.